Hey y'all, thanks to Will and Marlowe for having us as part of this event. I'm Daniel Pomodore, the lead over at Fort Instinct. Our game we're going to be talking about on the stream here is Villain Vegan, which is a slow jam style game that we made over the course of about 2 weeks. We started out as a team of SCAD students making a game called Demon together that was a blend of live action and augmented reality gameplay. We spent about a year on that and released it back in spring of 2016, and we made a whole documentary about it. In 2017 and 2018 we worked on Midnight Ultra and then released a free DLC update for it. This was the first time we released a real game online, and in total, the whole project took about maybe 5 months. After that, we started on Keepsake County in earnest in 2020. Keepsake County is our current main project. You can play it now as we release regular updates for it. We're currently looking for a publisher and putting out updates every week or so. Most of this community, though, became acquainted with us when we put out Brain Plastic Signal's tech demo back in summer. Unfortunately, we couldn't do more because I caught COVID in the middle of the jam, and I had to stop. So Villain Vegan is a nice way to try to get back to the slow jam format again, but properly this time. Something that I felt for a while is that I want to make games more regularly. I'm very creatively frustrated because I have a lot of ideas. I think the solution has been to make smaller games, one that allow me to express myself more regularly and also build a portfolio. I want to react to how I'm thinking or feeling about something in the moment rather than thinking months or years ahead. Small games are also becoming more regularly accepted in the community too. I think we've reached a sort of happy place for games like Flash games of old to thrive again. I also really love games like Sludge Life and how concentrated in scope they are. You can finish them in a sitting, and you feel like your time was well spent. With Sludge Life in particular, you can run around and explore the entire little world, and it has a very strong sense of place. So, it's not really about completing the objective. Frog Detective is another game that I have a lot of love for. It's simple, but the dialogue is just brilliant and funny in such a simple way. Anyhow, I love Halloween. Every year I'm always obsessing about masks and decorations and horror movies, and this year wasn't any different. I grew up in a pretty fall-centric town in Ohio too, so I also have a lot of nostalgia for it. So Villain Vegan condenses a lot of these things into a single idea. I also challenged myself to use 4 different pieces of tech. The first was real-time CSG. Terry Vellman has a demo on YouTube where he explains how he uses it for Sludge Life, and it's just so much better than Pro Builder for making worlds quickly. I was an instant convert. Second, Yarn Spinner. I had it in Brain Plastic Signal's demo for a bit, but I also wanted to get better at it because I wanted to use it in more of our games like Keepsake County. Third, I just got an iPad this year with Procreate. I struggled a lot with accepting my style of drawing and illustration, but I wanted to challenge myself to draw again. Finally, I've been scouting for a new character controller. For years, I've been using the stock Unity asset, and for lack of a better descriptor, it stinks. I've been Frankensteining functionality onto it forever, and it hasn't been great. But I also want to use it for other games going forward, so this seemed like a good opportunity to do that. Villain Vegan tasks you with something pretty simple. You pick up food and deliver it to people all around town. When you're finished, you go to a Halloween party. It's basically just a simple little Halloween card as a game. Something for people who aren't getting out for Halloween to enjoy that still has the spirit of it. I think as an adult, I miss trick-or-treating, but I didn't want to do something like Costume Quest where you're pretending to be a kid again. But the idea of roaming around town on a crisp fall night and meeting all sorts of strange people is still a really specific and intriguing idea to me. Probably the first challenge was getting rocket jumping working. I have a lot of nostalgia for that as well, probably because of the TF2 Halloween events, but also it's a fun mechanic that I'd like to use more in the future. After that, I spent a day or so building out the town using real-time CSG, which was unthinkable when I was working in something like Pro Builder. Once I did that, I spent some time beautifying the world by creating particles and artwork. After doing all that, I really just spent time making each of the foods and characters from a list I had. I could work on it basically any time or anywhere since I was just drawing, and by forcing myself to draw, I think I also landed on a style that I'm actually really happy with. A big challenge of working on it was also forcing myself to not go back and revise any of the art, since I wanted to focus purely on finishing. The world of Villain Vegan has a lot of little tricks I've picked up over the years. Tricks of perspective, lighting, and particle effects are things that I've learned from 30 Flights of Loving and Team Fortress 2. Once I had everything in, it was a case of just tying a neat little bow by spending some time adding cute props to the game, which I think gives it a lot of life. The morning of Halloween, I spent some time creating the music for the soundtrack. I don't think of myself as a particularly skilled musician, but for the soundtrack I use a guitar, Pocket Operator KO as a drum machine, and my Micro Freak synth. Also, I had some extra time to kill, so I spent some time sneaking Easter eggs into the game. So, what are we working on now? Well, I've taken what I've learned from Villain Vegan into Keepsake County. The character controller, yarn spinner, and even some of the props will find their way in. We'll be launching a few updates pretty soon, which add progression to the game and a lot more stuff. Besides Keepsake County, I'm also working on another game called Midnight Taco, which is taking what I learned from both Villain Vegan and Keepsake County to make a procedurally generated shooter. It's got a few fun little tricks of its own. Hopefully, I finish it up in the next couple weeks. Thanks for your time, and enjoy Villain Vegan and the rest of the stream.